close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away what you thinking about. All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the clouds. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my story. You lost your best friend, shit's got you stressing. Wanna find a fool who did it, cock back your weapon. Don't wanna look to the church for confessions. If you kill him, you can end up in corrections. Some look for the needles and drugs for injection. When I lost Caesar, I was ready for the action. This shit hurts hard, and it really did. But you gotta let the pain go, and that's how you live. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away what you thinking about. All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the clouds. Feel the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my stories. Falling in love may be easy to some of y'all, but some people in this world have downfalls. Been in love so many times, their heart got lockjaw. Mention the word love, pause, then the tears start to crawl down their face fast like Niagara Falls. Feeling you had them messed up like prank calls. Why it gotta be so damn hard trying to find the right one? Set your standards high and get this like an M. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away what you thinking about. All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the clouds. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my stories. Phone bill is due, rent and cars too. By the end of the month and you got no food. Mom at home first and dad can't go to work. That's only if you had a dad, imagine that hurt. 4 kids in one house, one mom and no spouse. Not enough room and family sleep on the couch. You don't know why and you looking for an answer. Just found out grandpa got cancer. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away what you thinking about. All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the clouds. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy.
Hello.
But you don't know if you
Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
Hopefully everybody can hear me.
Just listen to my stories.
Just seeing if everybody can hear me. If not, I totally understand because I'm loud.
I can hear you.
Welcome, everybody, back to Black Practice Convo, talking, loving in color in Colorado with my co-host, Miss Queen.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing today?
How are you doing today, Queen?
I'm doing so well, let me tell you. Things are going good, and I'm so happy to have made it through the holiday weekend, given everything that's been going on. How are you? How are you feeling?
Me, myself, I am feeling great. I'm constantly working on myself. I don't know. I just completely finished the 4 agreements.
Oh,
And
wow.
I am working on the 4 agreements.
Okay.
How about yourself?
That is amazing. I need to get on that. I've been working on myself too. I've been finally sat down and wrote my 10 personal goals, like what I'm trying to accomplish for this year, and really sat down and got my calendar together. And, I'm really just pulling in organization and tackling my business because this is it. I feel like this is the beginning of something great. Like I'm on the edge of something amazing.
I had to cheer you on right there because that's the truth. That's honest to God the truth. You you constantly keep moving, young ladies. You need your cheers. You need your cheers.
I appreciate them. I mean, all the cheers I can get out here. Been cheering for myself for a long time,
Oh yeah,
and it's
I
finally paying off. And so I'm glad to see that other people are seeing what I saw in myself a long time ago.
is it possible for you to pull your microphone a little bit more forward? Because it sounds like
Yeah,
it's more room than
is that better?
um. I don't know. Look, it sounds like you're there. You go. That sounds better. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it sounded like you were further off in a room. So I was like, wow,
Oh,
yeah. I was like, wow, that's a cool effect, but you sound so far away.
no.
Got you. So, um, you are you and I are basically trying to grow as much as we can positively, or should I say, just in general, how would you put it?
Um, I think that we're both definitely trying to grow. I feel as if there's like a shift in the consciousness of the world right now and the country. Um,
Yes.
and it seems like everyone is moving in the same direction. Um, and there's still resistance, right? Like there's still
You
some
got people
resistance
that
within
are,
myself and with out in the world.
yes, you have people that are seeing things their way only,
Hmm.
which is something that we all know. Like I said, I just got through finishing the four agreements, and the first agreement is one of the things you learn that people are living in their own everyone's living their own life story. They are the star of their own story. And when we're incorporated, we have to remember that other people have feelings too. And that they're people just like us. Cause sometimes I think we can forget that we're all human.
Yeah, it really reminds me of this metaphor because I heard something similar to that when um, I did like this weekend workshop where we really, really delve deep into who you are and why you make the decisions that you make, and you really deconstruct a lot of stuff. It was a really intense 3 day weekend. But one of the things that showed up for me in there is that everyone's so focused on themselves, like everyone's so busy looking down that we're missing each other and that we're missing connections. And I find it interesting that it plays out in how um, we can struggle to connect with each other on a day to day and in our relationships with each other intimately. Like we just struggle connecting. And I feel like a lot of that is because we're looking down, focusing on our own life story and not, seeing how we can bring someone else's story into ours or how we could create a story together.
How we can give instead of take. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? How we can help instead of critique or criticize.
How can we be of service to someone else and the people around us?
I can dig that. because just in general, I'm I also am a creator of music, and I love creating music for people that are going to use that music, which really goes into our topic, attachments in relationships tonight. Um I love music. I love creating music, and I'm inspired and in awe of all and anyone who can genuinely create music. And that means from sampling all the way to a musical instrument of voice or body tapping or whatever you can do musically. I am a fan of, because one, I never learned how to read music, and two, it's just so, I don't know how to put it in words, to watch a creative create, but it's just so, I just, oh man, it just, I never get tired of seeing genius give life to something other than a child. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I'm a lover of music myself. As a singer, my mother's a singer, my grandfather is a singer, plays a numerous amount of instruments. And, one of the things that my mom and my grandmother, my grandmother, but my grandfather and myself have always been, a little down about is we never learned to read music too. um, I definitely in middle school I was in the band and I was learning how to play the clarinet, and so I got some introductory to reading music, but that's as far as I've gotten. And one of my goals in life and one of the reasons I'm working so hard is because once I'm, really up and going, one of the things I plan on doing is, investing in a vocal coach and singing again and building up my vocal strength and learning how to read music and probably learning to play an instrument, the piano or guitar that I've always wanted to do because I'll finally have the money to afford the classes that I never could when I was a child.
Okay, I can dig that. And see, and for me, that's how I attach love to anything. Because me myself, I never learned how to read music. I still create music. I made it from third grade all the way until my 11th grade year of high school through concert band, uh, uh, marching band, and the whatever high school band you want to call the football band, but you know what I mean. I made it through all of that without even knowing how to read, but I knew what position. I knew the sound of each note when I seen the note. I didn't know what note it was. I couldn't tell you A B C D E F G, but if you put the paper in front of me, I can play it. You know what I mean? And that's what used to
Hmm.
shock all of my teachers, especially like when I got into middle school. My first black teacher, he was like, go with it. Like, if it works for you, it works for you. Like, I totally get it. He goes, you know that sound. And I knew the sound. And that's how I antiquate love though, like, because I don't I don't remember growing up having people love me. So I a lot of this is, like I said, love of self that I've learned. I know a lot of forgiveness. That's what I know. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I attach my learning of love to my understanding of music. So I have to let people know, when I get into relationships that, or when I start talking about personal relationships, that the most information I know about love is the lust part, where you're just truly intrigued for so long, where you just, you know what I mean? You skip everything that somebody actually really is. Like you go, oh, I'm not worried about that right now. Oh, that just doesn't bother me right now. I can get past that right now. You know what I mean? Like, and then you get to really see that person and you're like, yeah, no. So
Yeah.
I know the lustful stages of dating and and people, but I don't know someone being in love with me. How about yourself? What are your experiences when it comes to how do you attach love?
So, when I was first thinking, or when I was first beginning to learn to date, I think I told you that I had a dating coach in the past. And from that experience, I've been reading a lot of books about dating and relationships and stuff like that.
That
Tell mom to
is
bring some money some
definitely
day.
that is definitely an experience within itself. You know, that takes a lot of strength to even go that far to try to understand the world of dating. A lot of people don't get that you can actually date more than one person at a single time, especially in the hood. Like we don't even think about that. Like you can go on dates with different people and then actually figure
Yeah, and
out
actually have someone there.
which ones intrigue you, which ones don't intrigue you, which ones, you know what I mean? You figure out the puzzle before you get to know them intimately.
Yeah, and so what that experience had me do was really look at like my dating styles. Like first of all, I didn't know there was dating styles,
Okay.
nor did I know that there's a way that you bond, the way that you bond with people, and how you bond with them can affect the future of the relationship. Like people always say, the foundation is the key. Foundation is the key. But what really is the foundation, and what does it look like? And it looks like how you attach to other people. And so I was always like what's called like an insecure attached person, where I would be attached to you, but I would always feel like you were going to leave me. And I knew that came from like the abandonment issues that I had with my mother. She would
Wow, that is
leave and
deep.
go and be out and about, and sometimes like I would be, as a little kid, like, oh man, my mom's never coming back, like I'm never gonna see her again. So that created a lot of anxiety in me that I wasn't even aware of, until I started to do this kind of work. And then I realized like I have a kind of irrational fear of being abandoned. And it's just from, years of being left with babysitters and things like that, because, how it is, and our parents having to be out and working and things like that.
Yeah, our
Um,
parents would work. Like my mom, a majority of the time was a single mom. However, she was married, and my stepdad was either hustling or um, he was working and hustling, or he was working. And in general, that that whole relationship of theirs is like skewed to me because I didn't see happiness from them. I seen them try to pretend to be happy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that
Wow.
pretend is something that a lot of Black people actually have to do. Like a lot of our grandparents and our parents just pretended to get through life to survive what was going on. And we look back on it so fondly. Like I hear a lot of people like, oh, where our grandparents stayed together. Some of them were miserable. Some of them were
Yes.
alcoholics. Some of them were drug addicts. Some of them used to
Yes.
fight, have knockout, drag out fights in the streets. Like,
Oh my
let's not
God. Yes.
romanticize
I
these
got an
relationships
aunt.
because we all don't know too many of our grandparents who were actually together and actually happy. They just stuck together because they felt like, they had no
I
other
got an
choice,
aunt that
really.
my mom them called Butcher Knife Girl because
What?
she would try to stab. I got an aunt that they used to call Butcher Knife Girl because she said they she used to always try to stab people with the butcher knife when she was younger. But then when she got older, she actually stabbed someone with a butcher knife. So she stabbed a man with a butcher knife. When did you have word too?
Oh my gosh, my grandmother shot somebody, so
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying.
she
We
shot my grandfather
like
coming right out the window of another woman's house. Yes, she did.
this is what I appreciate is talking with someone that's taken the steps and mentioning the steps of trying to find happiness within themselves first. And by taking the steps and taking a dating course, that is interesting information that as Black people we might need to think about, especially here in Colorado, because we don't honestly think about, like, I didn't know that there were five. What did you call it? Say there were five.
Different attachment styles, and there may be more. I can't quote how many numbers, but I've listened to this book. It was called The Game of Desire by Shan Boudram. It's on audiobook. She reads it on audiobooks. And, she's amazing. She's beautiful, smart, sexologist, relationship therapist, coach. She's great. And so in the book, though, one of the things she has you do is complete an attachment survey so that you can figure out what type of attachment style you have. And then from there, once you identify the type of attachment style you have, you can start to see how, that may affect your relationship negatively or in a positive way. And you can start to figure out how to do something about that. I know that because I have abandonment issues, I'll start to feel like if I don't hear from a guy that, you know, he don't like me or something like that. And as soon as I start to freak out, I'll just go, what? You know what? I don't care. Because that's how I deal with it. Like, oh, I don't care. That way, if I don't care, you can't hurt me. I'll just check out now so I don't have to even be hurt down the road. And what that does is that rob me of an opportunity to get to know this person because maybe they're not topping out. Maybe they're just busy at work or some shit. And I've just jumped off the deep end. So really like knowing that, oh, this is how my attachment style is, and this is why, when I don't hear from him, I go into a panic attack, and I'm like, where's he at? So that gives me opportunity when that happens to be like, okay, take a deep breath, give him some time, he'll get back to you. You can start to
Okay,
manage those
I can dig that.
anxieties.
Yeah, see, like me myself, I I didn't really do the dating thing. I accepted a lot of what just happened to be interested in me at the time. And I can say with when it comes, like I said, Black, gay, it's it's not it. The journey has definitely been one one movie worth telling. Like in general, um, the guys I were interested in didn't believe that I I was what my actions were. They said, "Why don't you?" And it's like I don't have no reason to. Like they say, why won't you try to cheat on me? Like, what do you mean? I'm not grasping the concept, you know? And we like guys would hook up real quick. Like you talk one week and next thing you know, week and a half later, y'all are so called together. And y'all can do that for like a few weeks and just be fine with it and then just stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But what that brings me to is the whole reason I even got into I even sought out a dating coach in the first place is because I realized that I kept dating these people and they kept saying the same thing or kept doing the same thing. I was always dating men who were unavailable to me. Not even just men, even the women I dated on some level were unavailable to me. And it didn't matter whether they were white or Mexican or it didn't matter. I was like something about what I'm doing and how I'm being and the way I'm doing this dating thing keeps having me date these people who are unavailable, who like me, who think I'm cool, who are okay with having sex with me, or maybe saying we're together for 3 or 4 weeks, or maybe even 6 months or something like that, until what they really want comes along, and then oh, this
Say that again. You cut out on us there after.
oh. So what I was saying was that I just kept dating these people who were just unavailable to me. They all would just be unavailable to me, and it didn't matter, you know, what race or demographic. They were all unavailable to me, and so I really had to look at who I was dating and what I was dating, and I first had to look at the examples that I had around me, and I didn't have any. So I was like, I need
I
help.
yeah, I mean, I totally feel because there are no examples for me. Like I said, for me, a lot of the people that are interested in me are individuals of trauma. So, you know what I mean? A lot of the black males were sexually molested. However, when you meet somebody that's just naturally curious, that's the thing right there. When you meet a guy that's just naturally curious, that's still a guy, but that's naturally curious, that will that is knowing that they'll go to that limit, but they'll go, okay, I can't cross that line. And you know that you can't cross that line, but it's something with them, I think within themselves, they know that makes them want to cross that line. You know what I mean?
Mm, I don't. I don't know what you
Oh,
mean.
no, not. I mean,
However, I do feel as if
when it comes
maybe
to like,
there's some alignment there in the way that you view things and they view things, which is why it feels so good or it's so great when you're with them because you're both online and it's one thing that you think is a limit that can't be crossed. And the truth is, the matter is, a lot of people in both communities, straight don't matter in this country. A lot of people are traumatized. Like a lot of people either experience sexual trauma or physical trauma or emotional trauma.
oh
So
yeah, I am
everybody in
definitely a
this country.
product of the
Do you know?
emotional trauma.
Have you watched? I know you've seen some old school cartoons. Um, but I really recently I watched, and this is getting off topic, but recently I watched this episode of Rick and Morty, and it reminded me of the old school cartoons where they would show like a baby making factory, like the pretend way for how babies are made,
The
and
stork.
going down, yeah, the stork, like before the stork picks it up, like how they
Yeah.
had like a baby coming out the machine, and you know how the machine always spanks the baby on the bottom before it goes out the door. And
Yeah.
that's to traumatize you. Like it's to start you off in a life of trauma. Like our system is built with trauma and abuse into it. That's all I gotta say.
Uh, no, unfortunately, that's just to make sure that the baby has good lungs before they. I mean, when a baby doesn't cry after they're born, it's really scary to a doctor. So you want to make sure the baby has good lungs, and that's the
I
only
mean, that
that's
makes sense in practicality in real
right.
life,
It's
but in
just
a
been something that
cartoon, for
yeah.
it to be a conveyor belt and for them to still have to include smacking a baby on the butt,
Yeah.
and like it's way out the door. Like it wasn't even born. Like it's been you
Yeah.
created it through a machine, and you still included the part where you hit the
Which
baby.
which right, which in general, that's what I say when I tell people like when I don't tell people that I was born gay. There's and then there's things where people go, "Oh, you can't just wake up one day and not be gay and then just be gay." You can wake up one day and go, "You know what? I'm curious." And
Hmm.
that's the thing for guys.
I
It's
don't even think that it's a possibility like that. You can't wake up. I think that this country teaches people to suppress themselves sexually for so long that by the time we've grown into our whole selves and we've had the time to settle, then we start to go, you know what, I am interested in that. You know what, I am curious in that. But you can't do that. You can't look and see what you're curious and what you're interested in when you're raging against the world, when you're angry because, people are mistreating you, or when you're,
I
just
mean,
trying
when
to
you're a hood,
survive the day to day.
but see, when you're a hood nigga, once again, it's not just like okay, being being gay like me means that there's not femininity around me. You know what I mean? So when it comes to emotional, I'm used to being guy emotional. I'm used to being dumb emotional. Does that make sense? I know I have emotions. However, I'm not being smart enough to use my emotions because I'm the average guy. And
Yeah, but the
in
average
general,
guy, y'all are socialized to not be emotional.
correct.
Y'all are
And that's the
told that
thing.
to be
It's
stoic is to be manly. And
it's not that it's to be stoic, it's just in general there's a time to cry, right? And
I mean, but
un-
that's not the message that they're teaching. They're not
no, no, no,
saying
no,
there's a
no, they're
time to
not.
cry.
Yeah,
They're
they're not.
saying
They're
man up
saying, yeah, like
and
in general, like
toughen it out and
for
don't show
guys like
any
me,
emotion.
I'm 6'2" and a half, or 6'3" with shoes on. I don't know, but I'm muscular, so to a lot of people, I look like a giant, and I don't see myself as a giant. However, even when little kids look at me, they go, "Oh my gosh, he's big, mom." And it's like it's like I never realized these things, but at the same time, people realize these things, and if a big person cries, nobody cares. Does that make sense? When a big man cries, nobody cares. But when a little guy cries, everybody cares. You know what I mean?
I don't think it matters either way. I think they'll both get told to man up, and the little
That
guy probably gonna get called a
no,
pussy. Like, what you
no, like
crying for,
in
a little
general,
bitch?
little guys, for real, little guys get away with a lot. Like girls allow the little guy to get away with a lot. Even guys allow the little guy to get away with a lot. Like that's why you have the like remember the saving method. Um, I you didn't need saving, but that's what somebody feels that you need because you gave them the situation, but yet you didn't ask for saving. You just told them the situation, right?
Right.
That's exactly what big guys do to little guys, I think. And
Okay, that could be in y'all's
and
dynamic.
it's scary that that's what they the things that are norms in the gay world, I'm not part of the norm. Like they it's I get called I get called trade. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand. Like y'all are tripping. Like this is it's crazy. Like dating guys is so crazy. And then when you meet a guy, like I said, that's just curious enough to not even just there's something that'll just scare the shit out of them. You know what I mean? And it's like, man,
I think a lot of that comes from like we're all sold this BS idea of like what the man looks like what the alpha masculine ultra man looks like. And everyone is attracted to that because everyone's been sold that idea, whether you're, cis hetero woman or, gay man or trans woman. You've been sold this idea. So for you to embody what they've been told is what it looks like, it's like, oh, you must be Trey because like you're like the cis hetero guys, like you're not like how we are. You act like what society says, real men look like.
and I'm just trying to find my way without the whole the whole stereotype because I'm that it makes a lot of it makes no sense to me. And I don't judge. I don't say they're going to heaven or hell for it. You know what I mean? At the same
Right.
time though, for me, like I think because a lot of the people that I because of my career in healthcare and the people that it put me around, even 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 those that are feminine acting told me there are things that are done just for the attention of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily that they are feminine. There is a feminine thing within them, but it's not that they're not men. And that's the thing is that they have to remember that they're men, and men don't have to screw each other. You know what I mean? And I don't know how to clarify that for people that are gay, but not all gay men have to screw each other, and that's something that men need to know, honestly, because you have individuals that are just doing it because of trauma, and
Mm.
that's the people that put them through that. Like nobody, like I said, the one person, the not even one, the few people that I have met that are curious enough to go that far, eventually they get scared. And it's only because of fear of either wanting to go that far and knowing that I won't, or just wanting to go that far.
Yeah, I don't have much to say because, I just don't
That's
have
not your
much
yeah. That's not your
on that topic, but I will say that on the topic at hand, I wanted to about attachment styles. I don't know, this is a little off kilter, but I finished Invincible the other day.
Oh
Have you
my
watched
god.
that?
Yes, on
Yes, I
Paramount.
finished that today on. Well, for me, it was on Amazon Prime,
Okay, got you.
the cartoon, and if you haven't seen it, I'm
Oh,
just gonna go ahead and
you mean Invincible,
yeah, Invincible.
the cartoon. Yes, that
Yeah, on
cartoon
Amazon
is oh
Prime.
my
And
god.
if you haven't seen it, guys, spoiler alert now because I'm finna give away some of the
Don't
storyline.
spoiler because we can't do that here. We can't do that. Go
Well,
ahead.
this is included in the topic, and if you haven't seen it, you're really behind. Anyways,
Oh,
the
I've
whole
finished
thing is
that
about
series.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have. Me, you have. But anybody listening, if you
Oh
haven't,
yeah, got you.
and you're thinking of watching this, definitely, don't listen to this part. But his relationship with his father and talking about attachment styles, it
Yes,
really played itself out in that show so well because here you have, what's his name? I can't remember his name right now.
Jefferson.
The main character, is that his name,
Yeah, his
Jefferson?
son Jefferson.
Yeah, so he is this, his father is the superhero. He's always flying off, he's gone. Sometimes he's gonna come home, sometimes he's not. He really doesn't explain, he really doesn't give an explanation or anything. He kind of just goes and saves the world and come back.
Right.
And he tries to do the same type of dynamic with his girlfriend, and it doesn't work out. It's not working out for him to be gone and not explaining, to be late and not explaining. But he's attempting the attachment style that his father has with this girl, but it's not working. And so
Yeah.
then by the end of the show, to see them like, really fighting
Apart.
it out and really being,
Oh
at
yeah, trying to
complete
make it work
ends,
and
and having when him and his father finally came to blow, and watching them really struggle, having two different ideals and two different views of the world, I was like, what is this going to do for him dating wise? Like, what is his relationships gonna be like after this? Like, finding out that his father has been completely lying to him and pretending this whole time and don't really care about his mother that much at all. Like, what is this gonna do for his perception of relationship and his type of attachment style? I know it's weird, but I really be
no,
watching
that is
these
a
things.
great concept to throw up in there. Like, I totally get that. Watching that series was a very emotional and intense series. Me myself, once again, the father attachment. I have always wanted to know who my father is. So to imagine as a child to just make up, like, you know what I mean, how great your dad is. Your dad is just off to somewhere and this is who your mom is having watched you. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I totally get it. Like, in general, just the emotions all invoked in trying to maintain a relationship while you're in high school and you find out you have superpowers, and then you find out your dad is the superhero of everything. And like, he tells you this at a young age, and you have to just sit there and just like not tell nobody that you have as a friend. Like, emotionally, there's so much trauma within that.
Hmm. And that you've been accustomed to lying to people for extended
Right.
periods of time.
Right. And that's the thing. It's just, it's it's so hard for guys to not lie. And this is where I say everybody needs to understand the fundamentals of guys. We're just talking about just in general, guys, born guys. Um, we're dumb and we do a lot of things to try to pretend that we're not. We can have book smarts. You know what I mean? We can get a PhD, but that doesn't mean that we know how to use everyday common sense 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because we use our brain in that manner. A majority of the time, we don't. And we lie for the dumbest of shits, like I told you. You know what I mean? For shits and giggles, we lie about guns that we have. We lie about girls that we've had. We lie about how many times we've had sex. We lie about how we feel about ourselves. We lie about so many dumb things on a constant basis that we just get away with because there's not too many people that hold us accountable to being totally and purely honest males. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
I
mean, the
need
only
to.
people who can really The only person who can really hold you guys accountable is each other.
And I need to quit saying, does that make sense? I don't know where I got that saying
That
from.
or
I
you're gonna
was
have to switch the name of the podcast. Does that make sense? So every single time
for
you
real.
say
Like
it.
it don't like oh my I don't know where the hell that came from. But no, I just it, because like when it comes to attachments, that's one of guys' attachments in relationships. And it's for some reason, honesty is the hardest thing for a guy to do. So if a guy is honest with you, I really believe that's how someone should go. You know what? They love me because they're honest with me. Because a dishonest guy will tell you that they're dishonest. And if you still fall in love, that's on you. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
an honest guy is going to tell you everything. As much as, I mean, when you're getting on their nerves, they're going to tell you you're getting on my nerves. When, you know what I mean? When you're doing things right, you're doing things right. When you're doing things wrong, you're doing things wrong. You know what I mean? That'll make me leave you. This won't make me leave you. I mean, we're never honest about just in general our feelings. And these are the things that we need to start thinking about when it comes to relationships and the attachments that we create. Um, like I said, mine are from what I have learned from love through music, through R&B, like through old school R&B, through my aunt showing me love. Like sh- that's those are the only things of love that I know of. So when anybody shows me an attempt to give a damn, it's honestly looked at as a grain of salt because I don't know what you're going to do, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I do. I tell people all the time that honesty is the best policy with me. I will leave you quicker from lying to me than I ever will if you just tell me whatever it is. Just come out and tell me and allow me to deal with whatever. Does that mean I'm not gonna be upset? Absolutely not. But does that mean that our relationship is gonna come to a halt? Maybe not. And it's what do you want? Do you want me not to be upset with you or do you want the relationship to come to an end? Because I can tell you, lying to me will get you left. I don't play because I feel like lying is insulting. Like you're just insulting my intelligence to think that I wouldn't be able to tell that you're lying. Like I'm too
Once
intuitive
again,
for that.
that is one of the reasons why women break up with men is because women do not like holding on to such type memories. Those are those are those are pointless memories for a woman to hold on to, I believe. A woman does not like to have to remember a lie.
I remember a lot, whether I like to or not. It's the nature of being women. Like we retain a lot. We remember a lot. We have a high
Right.
attention to detail. So I can recall a whole conversation you said to me. So if you say something and you are lying and you don't remember you're lying, I'm gonna remember that whole conversation verbatim, and I'm you're gonna feel like you're stupid because I'm gonna be like, no, well, you said this, this, and this.
And it
Like
drives
this is
you,
what you're
I
telling me.
totally understand. It drives you crazy. And I think that's one of my issues is because I can remember a freaking lot. Like I ask people like, how far can you remember back? Like what is your first memory? Far back
Um,
as you can go.
my first memory, I think I was either two or I was three. I can't tell that age is like a little blurry to me, but it's like me in this white hallway with my favorite little spider toy at the other end of it. and I'm running towards it. It's at the end of the hallway, and there's just a little light shining from the door where the spider is, and it's a towel white hallway. I remember the floors being cold as I walked over to get my little toy. And then the rest of everything is just snapshots from there. But I can recall stuff that early, and my mom's always just like, I can't even believe you remember that. Like, I thought that you would forget that. I'm like, no, I
I
remember.
remember, I don't know when it was before, how old I was um, before kindergarten. However, I do remember is the worst. It was the worst day that I ever went through.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well.
I ended up, I ended up, I don't know who found me or how they found me, but I just ended up with, I was found by the fence with my head busted open.
Oh no.
Yeah, I remember all the pain. I remember feeling the blood. Um, yeah, this was at a daycare,
Mm,
and
yeah.
that is my first memory of the world for real. And like I said, I hope anybody and everyone out there that is listening to this podcast that has um, been listening to our conversations about Black love, if you haven't gotten therapy or seeked any forms of conversation about what you are going through emotionally, especially Black men, please find an outlet because there are things that you may think are healthy. There are ideas that you may believe are healthy. And just go talk about those ideas out loud and see how healthy they are. That's the best way I can put it.
That was real said. I totally agree. We're both on the same page with seeking help, getting therapy. I understand for some people the price or the cost is what is the concern because most insurance companies do not pay for mental health therapy. And so just know that there's some really inventive ideas out there for you to make payment plans as little as $20 a session, $115 a session, which is not bad. Um, you just have to go out there and search and have the conversation. Be willing to look for a therapist who's willing to meet your need and your budget. And I assure you, you can find the help out there if you truly look for it.
You really can. And so, like I said, I am me myself. I am grateful and thankful for God putting me in an employment position which allowed me to go through so many forms of therapy with so many different diverse people on dialysis. Um, my patients were some of the greatest therapists that I have ever had in my life. Um, dialysis patients are honestly some of the most humblest people you'll probably ever get to meet. They sacrifice on a day-to-day basis. They, you know what I mean? Just to not be able to drink more than 4 to 6 fluid ounces of water in between a treatment, You know what I mean? Look, there it goes again. Uh,
Yeah.
just to not be able to go through that, just to have that much fluid per day shows how much strength they have to put on themselves just to make it through the day. And I pray for everyone on dialysis, honestly, and all of those going through their forms of therapy and treatment to maintain themselves in life. I know we are going into the last bit of our show. Young lady, is there any quotes that you have? I honestly would love for you to quote the proverb that you said of the the on the show about the um mistreated child of the village, or
Oh,
uh,
yes, the African proverb that says the child shunned by the village will come back and burn the village down. So even when you don't like somebody or you don't agree with them or they do something wrong, it is still the village's responsibility to make that person feel embraced and accepted into the village. So, yeah, take that forward with every single interaction that you have with everybody in your personal community, in your family, and in this country because we're all a part of the community that is the USA.
and with that being said, I want to thank everyone for joining us on this once again. Black Conscious Convo presents Loving in Color in Colorado. My co host, lovely Queen. It is always great to hear your voice. You are such, your energy is such an inspiration within itself. I thank you for it, honestly, every show.
No, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you guys. This is always a pleasure. You all have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
We will see you next time. Look, LeVar Burton.
Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away what you thinking about. All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the cloud. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my story. You lost your best friend, shit's got you stressing. Wanna find a fool who didn't cock back your weapon. Don't wanna look to the church for confessions. If you kill them, you can end up in corrections. Some look for the needles and drugs for injection. When I lost Caesar, I was ready for the action. This shit hurts hard, and it really did. But you gotta let the pain go, and that's how you live. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away what you thinking about. All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the cloud. Feel the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my stories. Falling in love may be easy to some of y'all, but some people in this world have downfalls. Been in love so many times, their heart got lockjaw. Mention the word love, pause, then the tears start to crawl down their face fast like Niagara Falls. Feeling you had them messed up like prank calls. Why it gotta be so damn hard trying to find the right one? Set your standards high and get this like an and one. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away what you thinking about. All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the cloud. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out, but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain of life. Just listen to my story. Phone bill is due, rent and cars too. By the end of the month and you got no food. Mom at home first and dad can't go to work. That's only if you had a dad. Imagine that hurt. 4 kids in one house, one mom and no spouse. Not enough room and family sleep on the couch. You don't know why and you looking for an answer. Just found out grandpa got cancer. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away what you thinking about. All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the clouds. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pains of life. Just listen to my stories. Just listen to my stories. Just listen to my story. Lay your head on your pillow and close your eyes if it's mellow. Daydream and drift away what you thinking about. All the thoughts bottled up and you ain't trying to conceal them. Break out, fly away, see your tears in the clouds. Feel like the world is on your shoulders and your heart is real heavy. You wanna let it out but you don't know if you ready. The death of a friend, falling in love, the pain in life. Just listen to my stories. Just listen to my story.